with some of our coverage here on Live Now of the updates that we've gotten and the aftermath. Of course, we just were listening into an update that we were able to get in live here on our airways there from those lawmakers there in Minnesota, giving an update on the current manhunt that is underway. So we'll continue here on Live Now to give you these updates and talk about what all happened and breaking it down now with Lieutenant Randy Sutton. He's our law enforcement expert standing by. But again, if you're unaware of what happened, a Minnesota state lawmaker and her husband are dead after what police are calling a targeted shooting of political violence earlier today. The manhunt is now underway for this suspect, Vance Boelter. I want to put him up on your screen so you're able to see what he looks like. So police are asking for tips. They're calling him a man who's 6'1", 220 pounds with brown eyes. So again, let's check in now with Lieutenant Randy Sutton as we dive into everything that happened here. Thanks so much for being with us here on Live Now.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here.
It was scary for many Minnesotans as there was a shelter-in-place order for so many there in the city of Minneapolis as police were searching for this suspect. Let's start with the very latest. I was able to put up a picture there on the screen of Vance Boelter. This is the 57-year-old man that police are now looking for. And we know that his photo has been widely disseminated. As this manhunt is now going on, I have to ask you, Randy, what is it going to be like as law enforcement agencies, I'm sure in multiple states and multiple cities, are making a coordinated effort to locate him?
Yeah, this is an all hands on deck kind of situation. This individual, this evil human being, committed an atrocious act, an act of absolute 100% evil. He shot 2 individuals in one home and then killed 2 more individuals attached to the state lawmaker system in Minneapolis. He targeted them. He planned this to a great degree, to the extent where he somehow managed to put together a very realistic looking police uniform, was able to camouflage a vehicle to look like a police vehicle, including the light bar, and then went to the homes of these 2 lawmakers. And because he was dressed as a police officer, gained their trust, gained access to their homes, shot 2 who are in stable condition, is the last I heard, a lawmaker and his wife, and then traveled to the home of the second lawmaker and her husband, got into the home, of course, because he appeared to be a police officer, murdered them in absolute cold blood. And then, because of good police work, I'm gonna shout out to the sergeant of that police agency who, hearing about the first incident with the 2 individuals who were shot, realized that, you know what, we have a lawmaker in our jurisdiction here. Let me just go check on them. And because of that, was able to spot the suspect who was coming out of the house and engage them in gunfire. We're in a shootout. The individual, the suspect, ran back into the home and jumped out of or escaped through the back entrance of the home before they could set up a perimeter around it, and now is on the run, is on the loose. This is a major manhunt, probably the biggest Minnesota might have ever seen. This individual was on foot. Now, it doesn't mean he's on foot now. He could have stolen a vehicle by now. He could be secreted in a area home. And this is what the police and all law enforcement authorities throughout that area are combing the area, including house-to-house searches, looking for this individual.
And Randy, I appreciate you for adding so much context to really what happened and how scary of a situation it was for so many of those lawmakers. I want to point this out, though. This is the latest information that we got from the top of the hour from this news conference. They described the suspect, and this image that they have, They said this was outside of a business there, still in the Twin Cities area in the hours after this incident has happened. So again, they said he's wearing a light colored cowboy hat, dark colored long sleeve collared shirt or coat, light pants, and a dark bag. This specific outfit that he has on, how critical is that going to be? It's pretty distinct, if you ask me, to now locating this person as the police are trying to do.
I wouldn't give that much credence to this outfit. Clothes are easily exchanged, easily changed, and he'll probably be changing his clothing items pretty regularly right now, especially because he's probably aware that they have a good description of him. Now, when it comes down to tracking a fugitive like this, law enforcement is very adept at this. The United States Marshal Service, the FBI, local police agencies. You can't live in a vacuum. So he's going to have to utilize a credit card. He's going to have to utilize a phone. We don't know if he's got accomplices. That's part of the investigative process, whether or not he's got people that are aiding him. Now, what's interesting is as the background of this individual has now been is now being examined, he was an appointee of Governor Walz to a political position. So the fact that he cold-blooded murdered two Democratic politicians, the question is, what's the motive? Now, they do have a manifesto, is what they're calling it, which they have not released the contents of, which will shed a lot of light on what his motivations were. Now, did he plan to kill more people before this? He was interrupted in literally right after the murders that he committed here. The fact of the matter is that they have released that he did have a list of names, a list of potential political targets. So the fact that this was interrupted may have saved a number of lives, and also interfered with whatever his escape plans were, if he planned to escape. You know, many of these shooters, the end of the situation is often their suicide or their suicide by cop. So we don't know what this individual's end game was, but certainly because of the quick thinking of that police sergeant, there could have been many deaths averted.
And hopefully that was the case. I appreciate you for continuing to break this down. You touched on this. You talked about the manifesto that was also found there with the suspect's also fake police vehicle. Seems like he had this pretty planned out ahead of time, knowing that he wanted to strike very particular targets. Does that make it usually easier or harder to find a person during a manhunt in a situation like this? He could have had a plan for an escape if this is the case.
Yeah, well, that remains to be seen. Without a doubt, he had some end game in mind. I think that was interfered with because of the Did he have other plans that he may have had escape routes planned? We don't know that, but we do know he's on the run. We do know he's exceedingly dangerous. Any law enforcement officer who encounters him can pretty much count on a gunfight, and this individual needs to be treated as the threat that he is. You can't take a chance with a person like this. Now, the problem is, will there be innocent men and women who are caught in the crossfire, so to speak? That may be, an analogy that is very real, because there could be a serious gunfight that takes place. We know his propensity for violence. We know he's a killer. We know that he's already exchanged gunfire with the police. So this is not going to go down peacefully. I'd venture an educated guess at this point.
And it'll certainly be something that we're continuing to watch for some of these updates. Again, Lieutenant Randy Sutton here to help us break down the very latest. I have to ask you, Randy, any final thoughts before I let you go? Anything else that Minnesotans in particular or those in surrounding states should truly be aware of at this moment?
Well, this is a very difficult time for America. We're seeing these protests across the country. We're seeing the rhetoric from the protesters. We're seeing rhetoric from alleged leaders of this nation and different cities and state governments that are not turning down the heat. Quite the opposite. And it is this type of rhetoric, this type of hate that is being spewed that gives birth to tragedies like this. So what I would say is this: men and women of America, this is one nation under God. This is a nation that is made of laws. This is a nation of people that need to work together to solve our problems and cool down your rhetoric, learn to live with one another and accept the differences that we have without resorting to this type of violence.
All right, we certainly appreciate Lieutenant Randy Sutton here on Live Now from Fox for helping us to break down the very latest. Again, as this manhunt, very active manhunt, as we just heard from those officials, is still underway there in Minnesota. They're searching for this man that's on your screen. Take a look there, Vance Boelter. He's described as being a 6'1" tall man with 220 pounds, brown eyes. Be on the lookout. That is what those officials are saying. If you have any information, please contact local authorities. Again, we appreciate Lieutenant Randy Sutton for being here with us. In the meantime, though, we do want to continue on with our coverage here on Live Now. Involving this story, our partners there at Fox 9 in Minnesota have been doing a fantastic job staying on top of this story. They're also right now speaking with Amy Klobuchar. She's already put out this statement there